Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Bass Talk with Freekbass. I'm your host, Freekbass. I've always wanted to say that. But I'm here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, over at the Facebook page. It's facebook.com /Freekbass Music. Over at YouTube, that's youtube.com, the Freekbass channel. Please hit your subscribe button if you're watching over there. And we are also over at Twitch, and we're going to have a lot more stuff coming up at Twitch very soon, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. But today we're going to talk about minor pentatonic scales. It's such a great scale, easy scale, only 5 notes from penta, which means 5, pentatonic scale, and a really easy way to create bass lines. You know, I always talk about how important it is not only to be a bass player, but also to be a songwriter, a bass player that writes your own bass lines and or writes songs or both. And this scale is a really good one for kind of creating just real, you could even take just real simple just notes and just create something kind of cool and special. So I'm going to show you something that I put together on my Boss RC505, my mighty loop station I got. Play along with that. I'll show you that actually bass line. You can play right along with that if you'd like to. And then, of course, I'll tell you about the pentatonic scale and the notes that are involved and different ways to play it too as well. So let me show you quickly this little groove I got. It's right here. Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to play right along. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. All right, so there it is. So there's the bass line right there, and I'll break that down in just a second and tell you exactly what I'm playing if you want to play along with that as a starting point. But basically, what it's going to do is focus on the pentatonic in the E scale. I think it's a good jumping off point. Obviously, you can play the pentatonic scale in any key you desire. It's the same formula all the way across. Again, it's 5 notes. So in the case of E, the 5 notes are E, and we're starting here on, I'm starting on the E on the A string, 7th fret. And then you would go to, there's so many ways to do it. Sometimes I want to do it like a minor scale. I think I'll do it this way. So you got E, which is 1, G, which is 2, A, which is 3, B, which is 4, and D, which is 5. Okay, now some people say it's 6 because if you add the octave in, that makes it 6, but technically it's 5 unique notes. E, G, A, and B, and D. If you notice, there's no second or no sixth in there at all, too, as well. So so no F sharp at all in there, too, as well. So, and if you're doing it from, say, the open E, you could just, E, G, A, B, D. So, another cool thing to do is maybe even do it, it's a real easy 2-octave scale, too, as well. So you got E, G, A, B, D. So again, on your E string, 0, 3, 5, 7. Then you've got on the A string, 5, that's the D. Then you're back at your octaves, 7, which is E, G, 5, 7, 9 on the D, G, A and B, and then 7 on the G, and then you're back there. Yep, like that too. So it's a really, really fun. You hear it on a ton of songs. Just playing the scale, me just playing it backwards, like that. It's a really, really fun scale. So what I did is I kind of tried to create this little funky groove with it, and just again limiting myself. I think when you're writing bass lines, it's really important. For me, this really helped me a lot. As you know, I remember I learned a lot about theory, but I still didn't conceptually understand how to write or create bass lines on the fly. And as soon as I started thinking about keeping the box very small. In other words, using less notes, not trying to like think of a million notes, just take like, how can I take 2 or 3 or 4 notes and make a cool bass line with it? And then you just kind of continue to make bass lines based off of that too as well. So that's kind of what I did here on the loop station. You'll hear it again. So what I'm doing there, I'll do it without the loop station. Here's the line, kind of the same tempo. Now, what I'm doing, if you notice, is that is like, so here is the E. So I'm kind of backtracking back up to that E. So I always kind of think of it like when whatever key I'm in, I always think of like the key as like almost like if you're looking at a map. And you know, sometimes when people like travel to a lot of cities on the map, and they'll like put a pin like to whatever city they're from. So I'm from Cincinnati, so I would have a pin at the end, like the bottom of Ohio, and then you know, I would like, you know, put stuff around that, and it would always kind of lean back to that main pin. Well, that's kind of the way I think of it, as whatever key I'm in. So like in the case of this, an E, that's the 7th fret on A. That's my target point. So I kind of think of as many ways as I can get back to that pin in a unique way, and the way I'm doing it using the pentatonic scale. So you know, so I can come up back from, you know, below it, or I can go above it all the way, but it's still, all roads lead back to this. So that's kind of where the approach I took for creating this bass line, which is the. So all I'm doing is just 5/7 on the E string, which is A, B, then 5/7 on the A string, which is D, E. Then I go up to the 3rd of E, which is 5th fret on the D string, which is a G. Then back to that E. And then 5/7 D, E. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot I went to the B on that, didn't I? You could do it that way too, but the way that might be a cool little variation, but the way I actually did it, I just remembered, I went A, B, D, back to the B, and then went to the G, back to the E. And then I'm doing that boom, boom, you know, and I'm always thinking, again, you hear me talk about that a lot here on BASSTalk, like horn lines, you know, dun, dun, you know, I'm thinking like a horn, or like a drum, you know, I always say I'm a drummer that plays notes, you know, do, 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 got to bum, dun, bum, bum. I'm thinking like how a band can accent that, do, do, whether it be horns or drums, do, do, ga, da, do, do, bum, bum. So I'm using that bump always as the E, which is the key of the song we're in. Okay, then the second time, just to make it a variation on the line, and it has a cool little rhythm thing to it. It almost feels like you're putting an extra note. Well, you are putting an extra note in there, but it almost feels like you're putting an extra beat in there. So then I go do the back to the B, but then we go 7/5 on the D, 7 on the A. So A, G, E, back to G, 7/5 on the A, E, D, and then ending with that boom, boom. So like that too. One other thing I want to bring up, and this is a whole nother video too as well, but as I'm like sitting here watching myself on camera, if you noticed, you know, I talked about this I think a little bit last week, but you know, my hands are plenty big enough where I could play between my 1st and my 3rd finger in this position very easily. But for me, I think it's better to use between on these frets down here between my 1st and my 4th finger. A lot of that has to do, I played upright bass for many, many years, and in lower positions you always use 1, 2, and 4. You don't use 1, 2, 3 until you get a more thumb position. But I think a big part of it is, I mean, look at this. Look, so I'm going from 1 to 3. Look at my hand angle. So again, not a big stretch, but when I go back to the 4th finger, look at that. so much less. It's just so much more relaxed in terms of what I'm doing there. So again, another video, another day, but just something to think about when you're playing in these lower positions. So so there you go. So there's the bass line. I'll do it really slow. So it's what? A, B, D, B, G, E, D, E, and then that's the first time. And then the second time, you're adding the A, G on the D string, E, G, E, D, and low E. And you heard me playing before. I was in those little spaces. I was just plucking on the this little D right here, just to give it a little more flavor. You don't have to do that at all if you don't want. Just trying to fill it out a little bit. So that is the bass line, and that's a real cool way to do it. Now, what I would suggest if you're kind of just starting out and you don't want to quite go there yet, is again just the easiest thing, just practice in one octave. So again, 7 on the A, 5, 7, 9 on the D, 7 on the G, and then you can even use your octave right there. That's another E. That's one octave. Or if you want to be a little more adventurous, just do 2 octaves. So 0, 3, 5, 7 on the E, 5, 7, A. Always go both directions too, or I suggest you do that too as well. So I'll show you this bass line one more time, and you can see how easy and groovy it is. Let's see. And that's it. Even when I was on those little extra fills, I was still keeping it within the minor pentatonic scale there too as well. So check that out. I think you'll really have a good time with that minor pentatonic scale. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Don't forget, this Saturday night, couple things. Saturday night Chit Chat this week is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That's on the Facebook page only. Facebook page .freekbass music. And I've got an amazing guest this week. Super excited. Been working on this one for a long time. The amazing Mr. Steve Stevens. Billy Idol, Michael Jackson, wrote the Top Gun theme. Just not an amazing guitar player, but an amazing composer too as well. I'm sure you will all recognize me at a VH1 show for a while. So yeah, he's going to be my guest this week, so that's going to be a good one. And of course, I'm here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you're watching that, if you're watching on the rebroadcast or watching the video like at YouTube at a different time, thanks for stopping by. I've got tons of videos. There's some we're getting quite a catalog now of BASSTalk with Freekbass videos. So if there's anything that you're like, oh, I wonder how you do this, or I see Freekbass doing this, chances are I've covered it. Or if you want me to cover, just leave a comment below, and please leave any comments. I will answer every single one of them. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight. And I will see you hopefully Saturday night.